Where I think you really become strategic is the ability to help your customer understand how this is going to drive business growth for their business. Being strategic is being able to have the conversation with your customer, asking the right questions, and being that business advisor, not just someone who's there to like read slides and like go over a presentation. Like that's not, I'm sorry, but there's an AI bot that can do that. You're so much more than that.
Welcome to another episode of Customer Success Talks, Real Challenges, Experts Advice, the podcast dedicated to helping those transitioning into customer success and early career customer success managers. I'm your host, Byron Toruño, passionate about customer success, and just like you, I'm still learning about this amazing world. And today we will be talking about becoming a strategic advisor. And I think this is a term that we have been talking a lot about in the industry, because that's at least my ultimate goal. I want to be that strategic advisor to my customers. I want to be that person who thinks beyond. I want to be that person who kind of reads the future and guide the customers to the right place. But it's doing and saying is different, or saying and doing is different. And that's what we're going to be tackling today. We will be trying to give a lot of tangible solutions into how to have that mindset and what steps to take to become a strategic advisor. And who else than Anika, who has 13 years of experience. And also, Anika, you have seen a lot of stuff going on. So before we continue, can you share everyone, who are you, your background, and how you ended up in customer success?
Yeah, happy to. So Byron, thank you so much for having me. I have loved listening to your podcast episodes thus far, so I feel very honored to be here chatting with you today and sharing what I know about customer success with your listeners. But as you already said, my name is Anika Zubair. I'm currently head of customer success at Griffin. Griffin is an API first bank. So we're basically a bank that banks other fintechs. So we help financial services build their products, and we're the banking infrastructure that launches some of the products that you might see in the UK. And I have worked in customer success, like you said, for the last 10 years, 13 years specifically in B2B SaaS. And I started my career in sales. So I started as an SDR and then moved into account management. And I think I started before customer success was really coined, the title of CSM, because when I was working in account management, the company I was at was like, hey, we want to kind of launch this like customer success thing. Do you want to be part of what we called customer success coaches? Actually, my first title wasn't even CSM, it was customer success coach. And
Which sounds really cool.
Yeah, I started as a customer success coach, and I had like hundreds of customers because we had like so many, and we were just trying to figure out a way to drive customer experience, customer happiness, and build out a strong NPS and CSAT score. Now, fast forward 13 years, that is not what customer success is really held accountable to anymore. And I always like to say I've held a number of different leadership titles, whether it's VP of CS, head of CS, director of CS, CSM. But I like to say I'm a post-sales revenue leader, and I like to lead post-sales revenue teams, because I think the customer success landscape has changed a lot, as you've kind of already alluded to, Byron. It's no longer just the same. You have to be strategic. You have to drive value with your customers, and you have to really push the needle forward, not only for your customers, but a lot of companies are expecting CSMs to either carry a revenue target or at least move the revenue needle forward in some way. So that's why I say post-sales revenue leader, because I've always personally had a revenue target, and maybe it's from my sales background, but that's me in a nutshell. I am American. I live in the UK. My accent confuses everyone. I don't know why I'm still in the dark UK sometimes, but I have lived here for the last 10 years. So yeah, that is me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. I almost always forget. But yes, I do have a podcast. I have been a podcast host for 4 years. So I have been around doing podcasts for quite some time. I think a lot of people recognize my voice before they recognize me sometimes. My podcast is called The Customer Success Pro. We release new episodes every month. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the normal places. But the podcast is mainly about talking about whatever challenge customer success is facing, whether you're an individual contributor or a leader. I talk to a number of different people in the industry all about whatever the hottest topic is in customer success at the time. So, yeah, I actually am really enjoying being on this side of hosting, because usually with hosting, it's a very different thing than being a guest. So I'm really excited to be the guest today and not the host.
I heard that before. It's not the first time that there has been podcast hosts as a guest, and they all say the same. It's a different vibe.
It
What is it?
is.
Is it
You
less
have to use different
stressful?
skills. No, it's just, I think it's different skills. Like when you're interviewing someone or you're talking to them, it's a different skill set than actually answering or providing feedback or sharing. So, no, it's different and I
I
like
really
it.
enjoy your podcast as well. Like I have now 2 years since I started this journey of transitioning into customer success. And together with Maria Escobar-Pelez podcast, Women in Customer Success, yours, and also Customer Success Collective, that's how I started a little bit of getting into customer success before I actually jump into communities, from communities to mentor, and then having a mentor, reading books. So this has been a whole journey. But thank you so much for also recording all of those conversations, the hottest topics, and also sharing that with the world. But Anika,
Yeah,
there's something more. We cannot skip this one. You also have your coaching services, right? You have
I
CS
do.
programs that is also called
Yeah.
Customer Success Pro. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I really love that you're calling out all the things. But yes, I do. I have a coaching program that I've designed that's designed for people who are probably experiencing what I experienced about 5, 10 years ago. Is a lot of CSMs have a lot of responsibilities, and more so now than ever, CSMs are targeted towards revenue, or maybe have to speak revenue language, or be more comfortable being a revenue driven customer success manager. And I've had the benefit of having, again, sales roles before, but it's something CSMs are required to do now. And I noticed a gap in the market, or I started to realize that there's lots of CSMs out there that have never had that sort of training or experience before. So I've created a cohort based group live coaching that's called CSM Rev Up Academy. And it launches a few times a year, and you're able to sign up. And it's a 6 week intensive program where you're able to, with other CSMs that are in similar roles, able to really understand the language of revenue, get more comfortable being a revenue focused CSM, and really be able to have those strategic revenue outcome conversations with your customers. So it is a coaching program that I run a few times a year. And if anyone wants to know more, I'm sure Byron will put more information in the show notes. But thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, everyone, hit pause, but don't leave. Hit pause, go to the description, and you will see all the information from Anika, everything where you can see the podcast and everything that it comes to the CS programs as well. So, Anika, it's super interesting to have you here because I think that it's going to be in a great conversation when it comes to being a strategic advisor. Maybe this have even changed from the day that you started into now, 13 years ago. That's also what
Mm.
I'm curious to hear. But if we start with the basics, for you, what are the first steps to even become a strategic advisor for our customers?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And I think a lot of people think being strategic is helping the customer with your product. And I think a lot of people think that like being a product expert, or really like saying, hey, I need to onboard this customer faster, or I need to maybe help them understand how to use this feature or functionality. Now, I'm not saying that that's not important, but a lot of CS professionals tend to think that is being strategic, is really moving the needle forward with product usage or product understanding. That's great and well and good, but to be really strategic as a CSM, and I say this to other people I either coach or mentor, is your customer is almost looking to you as a business analyst or a business coach. And yes, they want to understand your product, but at the end of the day, the way they want to understand your product is how your product is going to drive business growth for them. So it's not just about teaching them about the product. That's step one, by the way. And I think a lot of CSMs live in step one, which is, hey, let me show you how this feature works, or let me show you how to integrate, or let's walk through the value of this. But where I think you really become strategic is the ability to help your customer understand how this is going to drive business growth for their business. Because again, that is where strategy is. It's not in just, hey, let me tell you about my product, because the problem is if they're going to get sick of hearing about your product. They're going to say, okay, I know enough, or I've integrated. That's enough. Thank you. And they're going to stop using, or they're going to stop coming to your calls, or they're going to stop opening your emails because they're not seeing value. And the value at the end of the day is they are trying to grow their business, just like you as a CSM is helping your company grow the business. So you need to almost put that thinking cap on, is how can I strategically help my customer grow their business? Hopefully it's with your product and tool, but it's not just about product demos. It's about driving that conversation a step forward.
Interesting. So it's a lot about questioning ourselves first, prepare before having that conversation with our customer. Not just the adaptability of the product, but also how can we go beyond what we can offer, because they know just what they know about our products, but we can identify a little bit more what they haven't seen.
Yeah, definitely. Like, just think about it, by the way. So let's say I'm coming to your product website, like I'm coming to www. Whatever your product is. There's a reason I came, by the way. It wasn't because I wanted to buy your product and just give you some money. Okay? Most businesses today, they're either trying to grow, meaning grow their revenue, increase customers, increase sales, whatever, or they're trying to save money, or they're trying to save time. They're trying to do something that's causing business growth, whether it's growing customers or they're trying to be more operationally efficient or better at what they're doing, right? And your product, hopefully, is going to help them do one of those two things, right? So a lot of times as CSMs, we forget that that is why they came. They didn't come because of this feature. They didn't come because of this integration. They came because they had a true business need to help their business grow. And they're hoping that your product or service is able to do it. And your job is not only to help them see that, but make sure that it translates. So if, let's say you are monday.com, yeah? Let's say you're a time management or a software that's helping you project manage. The company has a problem. They maybe have too many projects or too many people working on too many things. The output they want is they want to use monday.com to help solve that problem so that they can go and focus on other things, whether it's more sales, whether it's saving money, whatever. That's the thing they're trying to do. So you need to be, as a CSM, not only teaching them about monday.com, you need to be like, right, if you do this, or if you use this feature and you use this project management tool, you'll be able to go away and save time, or let your team go sell instead of doing this. And that's where I think CSMs miss the strategic mark. They're so focused on that first step that they forget about the big business goal that your customer has. It's not, I want to purchase this product, I don't want to use this product. It's, I'm trying to solve a business goal for my business.
And something that you said, Anika, even before we started the topic, is that you mentioned on strategic outcomes, not only the outcomes, but also the strategic outcomes. And I think, I would love to hear what you think. Is there are two outcomes: the outcomes that the customer needs to have as quick wins and see the value, but then let's think about those strategic outcomes common to the future, aligning to the revenue, to the renewal. So what do you think about this, because I really resonate with that strategic outcomes part?
Yeah, definitely. So strategic outcomes, what are they? Those are the big, hairy goals. That's like, hey, I'm buying this software to save my company time so my salespeople can go sell more, or I'm buying this software to solve X problem. That's the big strategic outcome goal. Why? Why did they buy the software? What was their purpose of buying the software? Because I'm telling you, no customer is buying a software because of a feature or a function or something like that. They're buying to solve a big business problem. That is a strategic goal or a strategic outcome that they're hoping to get. The goals or tasks or anything else that's associated to that, all very important, but those are tasks. Those aren't the strategic outcome that they're looking for. So let's say they're trying to save money by using your software, and it's going to optimize some of their processes, right? Like, let's say that's their big goal. Your task is like, okay, well, you need to implement with this part of the software, or you need to use this feature, or you need to do this or this and this. Those are all tasks or small mini goals that lead to the big strategic goal. But what you also have to do as a CSM that I think a lot of people tend to brush off or think is not that important is you need to remind them of the big strategic outcome, the big strategic goal that they're chasing. Because a lot of times you get so into the detail, and that's okay, that's normal. Whether there's a bug, whether there's a feature request, whether there's something, sometimes customers get derailed and they want to talk about anything and everything. But you, as that strategic advisor, as that business consultant that we talked about earlier, you need to bring everything back to that strategic goal that they have. Hey, customer, I know it's really important that you give me this feedback about A, B, and C, but we're not here to talk about features. We are trying to make sure you unlock more time for your sales team to go sell. How are we going to do that? Let's have a conversation on that. That is coming back to that strategy, coming back to that strategic mindset, and coming back to that strategic outcome.
I just love this. When I hear you talk, it just sounds like everything so aligned to what we are always expecting, right? And we're about to jump into the challenges because there are some challenges, of course.
Of course.
But it's so inspiring to hear you talk about this and the way that you express it. And you said questions. I mean, you mentioned really important things, but I want to also highlight questions because you started with throwing out some questions. So that means that we need to ask the right questions to the right person and sometimes to the right at the right time. So do you actually believe that questions is key to be a strategic advisor?
Yeah, 100%. By the way, we have 2 ears and one mouth, but in CS, sometimes we think we have two mouths and one ear
Ouch.
because for some reason, no, really, we think we are the expert, and we're told we're meant to be an expert and really help our customer. But sometimes helping our customer is by asking them rather than just assuming. And sometimes CSM fall on their own sword by assuming they know what a customer needs or by assuming they think they have the right direction. You can't really know until you ask the right question, like you were just saying. But also, I think a lot of times CSMs think that when they're in a call, a customer is meant to ask them questions, not the other way around. And remember, we're being strategic advisors and consultants, and you got to have a conversation to do that. It can't be a one way, please ask me questions and let me answer them for you. You've got to dig in. You've got to really start asking the questions. And I always say discovery is so important as a CSM or a CS pro or any CS role, to be honest. You've got to ask the right question at the right time. So if your customer is asking about a feature or a request or a bug or something, you need to not just hear them and say, okay, let me take all the notes of exactly which feature you want in the roadmap. You need to ask, why is that feature important? Why does it connect back to your big strategic goal? What purpose are you trying to solve with this feature? Because when you start asking those questions, what you might be able to figure out is actually maybe they don't want a feature. What they want is an outcome. And I can help them with the outcome either with a workaround or another feature or another use case or another way of using our product. Or maybe actually they really do need the feature and I have a very strong use case now to take back to my product team. Either way, if I didn't ask those questions, I would never know. I would just be a note taker. And listen, you're not an AI note taker. You're a real human being asking questions, getting answers. And it's so important that you do that. And another example I like to use when I'm coaching people is you know, when you walk into a doctor's office, right? And you sit down, the doctor's going to ask, hey, what's wrong, Anika? And I can say, I've got a headache. But your doctor isn't going to just prescribe medication based on saying, I've got a headache. They're going to ask, oh, is your headache in the morning or in the evening? Is it in the front of your head, the back of your head? How often do you have it? The reason they're asking all these questions is they're trying to diagnose correctly, right? How, as you as a CSM, how are you going to diagnose your customer's problem if you don't actually have the answers that you need? And most CSMs just make assumptions. And that's what I'm saying is like, you got to stop that. You got to ask the right questions.
You use the doctor analogy. I normally
Yeah.
use the analogy of, let's imagine that we are driving and then we
Yep.
need a co-pilot. The co-pilot might be the expert and know the road.
Yep.
But then how would the co-pilot know what I want if I'm the driver, who is the customer? I need to ask the question so that way I can know your abilities. Have you taken this road before? Why or at what time do you want to reach to your goal? So it's like asking the questions so the co-pilot can kind of create the map, and based on that,
Mm-hmm.
if it takes longer, well, it takes longer, but or maybe it takes less, or because we, the co-pilot, we are the one guiding, and
Yep.
it's so easy to just want to be the expert, or not even wanting to be the expert. It's just that it's the passion of trying to solve things that can get you blind. It had happened to me before, right? And it's so easy to be vulnerable in a podcast. I have done it before. So for example, you are talking with a customer. In my sense, I already prepare, I have a structure, but the structure
Mm-hmm.
that I have is based on assumptions because I haven't talked to the customer yet. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
do A, B, C, but did I even tell the customer at the beginning, what challenges are you going through, or let me know what outcomes you want from this call?
Yes, yes, so important. Sometimes we go in with an agenda, just like you said, and that's totally normal, by the way. We're prepared, we're coming ready for our call. I recommend you do that, by the way. You should, but you should also be totally prepared to veer off of it as well, because again, being strategic, being ability, like the agile ability to ask the question, to really understand what the problem statement is going to be so critical because again, you need to drive value. And maybe the customer is going to come into that call and saying, listen, you know, that's a great agenda, Anika. I really love everything you're going to cover. But the biggest problem I have right now is this, and we need to solve this. And so if you don't ask, hey, what's your goal or what are you hoping to get out of this call, more times than not, your customer is just going to nod and maybe listen and watch your slides go by, but they're not going to get any value out of that call. So when your customer stops showing up to QBRs or they stop responding to your emails, it's because you didn't give the consultative space for them to really have that conversation. I really hope everyone hears that, like, being strategic is being able to have the conversation with your customer, asking the right questions, and being that business advisor, not just someone who's there to like read slides and like go over a presentation. Like that's not, I'm sorry, but there's an AI bot that can do that. That you're so much more than that. And I hope everyone listening knows that you're driving the conversation forward, and it doesn't come from a slide deck. It comes from a conversation. It comes from asking the right questions, and it comes from being, again, consultative and strategic with your customer.
And at the same time, as you ask questions, you're going to learn about the industry. And that way you can also have the
Yeah.
same level, the same language and vocabulary as them to also understand
Yes.
what they're going through. But Anika, I want to touch on relationship. I want to
Mm.
hear your opinion about this because building relationship and maintaining relationship in customer success is super important, right? And of course, we are dealing with humans, so it's also part of it. But once I talked to Greg Danes, and he said that, yeah, everything is important, value and also relationship. But if we don't have the outcomes, maybe there are customers that don't like us, but we are giving them the outcomes. So I want to hear your opinion about this when it comes to being that consultant, that person who guides. What the part of relationship? How do you see this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Relationships are critical. It's like how in all our life, not just our careers, they're super important to build strong relationships with your family, your friends, your customers. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't? No, you should definitely build a strong relationship. But what that means can be so different depending on your customer. Now, a lot of people think building a strong relationship is like knowing if they have kids or not, or knowing their dog, or knowing these personal things, which important. We are human. It's good to know those things about a customer. But listen, I've had a failure of my own where I got to know my customer so well in this like personable way. And I was like, she loves me. She loves me as her CSM. She's never going to churn. But guess what? She churned. Like, and I was thinking, what the heck? I worked so hard on building such a strong relationship with this customer. Why did she churn? And the reason she churned is I was so focused on building that relationship that I wasn't focused on value outcomes or strategic outcomes that we talked
Ah,
about. I was mostly like, oh, how are things going in your business and all these things. And she was totally happy with me, totally okay with everything. I was so focused on building a relationship, which at the time I thought building a relationship meant like, again, getting to know your customer, really understanding their business, like making sure you really connect in a deeper level, which I did. My customer loved me. But the issue is they churned. And the reason they churned is because she was not seeing value, not from me as a CSM, but from our product or service and the value our product and service had on her business. Remember how I said earlier, like everyone buys a product or service to serve their business, whether it's to save time, save money, grow the business, grow revenue, whatever it is, they're buying for a reason. And she wasn't seeing that out of our calls. She was seeing a great CSM, someone who was prepared, someone who was able to talk to the product, but I wasn't connecting everything back to her business goals. That's the big part that's missing is everyone is looking to be connected back to their business goals. And sometimes it's really hard, by the way. As a CSM, you work for a company, right? Like I work for Griffin. So in my mind, I'm like, how does Griffin's products work? How can I help you with Griffin's products? All great, but I need to take it a step further and I need to make sure my customers like are really seeing the value of Griffin embedded into their business. How is my product helping grow your business's revenue? How is my product helping your business save time? All these things customers don't, it's not obvious, by the way. And in order to build that relationship, you need to first build it, but then you need to make sure that they see value from that relationship. And the best way is embedding how your product or service helps their business.
I love that. I love that. And it's also interesting to hear how this happened to you and the way that you learn from it as well. Because also part of building
Mm,
relationships is also giving those outcomes. I mean, small talks are amazing. If you're
yeah.
genuine and authentic, that's great. Communication skills, presentation skills, amazing. That all it actually adds up. But part of this, in a big percentage, is
Mm.
given those outcomes. It's also part of building that relationship and trust.
Yeah. And if you are delivering on those outcomes, you will build a stronger, deeper, more strategic relationship with your customer. Part of it is small talk. Don't get me wrong. You definitely do have to have those skills. But a lot of the reason a customer will come back to a call is because they are seeing a business outcome of that call. They are seeing a strategic reason to come back and have a conversation. And I'm going to be crystal clear. It's not necessarily about your product knowledge. Maybe a part of it is, but most of it is, hey, the last time I got on a call with Anika, she was able to show me a new feature functionality that helped me save time. And now I don't have to spend 4 hours a week on reporting. Like she helped me, and that now gives me more time back in the day to grow my business. Do you see how that's like connected back to their business, their time? It's always about their outcomes. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like building a relationship is great. Building a stronger relationship comes when you're able to focus on their outcomes.
And Anika, with this, what you're saying, it's also another way to make it easy for our customers to advocate for us internally and us as the brand.
Mm,
Because it's like it's so easy to come to their C-suite and say, hey, this is what we have gained from. So that's also like the important part of being a strategic advisor is kind of being inside of the organization. But something that happens a lot, Anika, it's being moving from reactive to proactive.
mm,
And it's hard to be a strategic advisor if we're constantly in the reactive mode.
mm. Um, yes, it's a common thing, by the way, working in reactive state. Let me just be very clear. I don't care if you're at a big Fortune 500 company or the smallest of startups, your role in some ways is probably reactive, and that's okay. We react to what our customers need, want, etc. But you need to carve out the space to be proactive and to really move into that field and shape. But I just want to be completely honest that I still have very reactive things that I'm doing. 13 years in customer success, and still it's the reality of the job we do. But in order to truly be proactive, in order to really be strategic and drive the conversation forward, the one thing that I think CSMs don't really think about or do is spend the time to really strategically understand their customer, advise their customer, really go in deeper and think about things and build out strategies towards that. A lot of times we almost sit there and wait until something happens. For example, a health score. Oh, customer health is dipped. Let's react. Let's go and call the customer or email the customer. Or, oh, this customer is due for renewal. Like, let me start preparing a renewal playbook or a renewal cycle or a slide deck or something. All of this is reactive, by the way. The way you are proactive is every day, by the way. The way that you're really able to move the needle from reactive to proactive is by thinking ahead with your customer, whether it's like, hey, what's the next big strategic goal that you want to work on? Or what is it that you're trying to unlock by using this feature or functionality? It's about really understanding what their next step is and almost being predictive and being able to tell them, hey, based on kind of what you've been doing with our product, I think the next great step for you is to do this or to go this direction or use this feature. A lot of that comes from, again, the preparation, the getting to know, the deeper understanding, the really like almost business intelligence side of the role, which is whether it's the data, whether it's the conversations, it's really taking it a step further and really, again, asking the right questions. I swear I've said this so many times and it's on repeat probably on this podcast, but if you're not asking or you're not getting the right questions, whether you're a high touch CSM or a digital CSM, you can definitely still ask questions, whether it's in a survey, an email, a call. You just need to really get in there and understand what their goals are and help them reach those goals.
You said business analytics. You said this at the start of the episode. You say our customers are also expecting us to be business analysis, business analyst. And this is also part of being that business analyst, of taking the time to see what the customers are doing and how they're using a product. Where are they in their customer journey, and what have other customers have done in that stage and what they have done next, to see how we can guide them towards that one.
Yes. A lot of CSMs, by the way, will stop in that middle, like you just said. What will happen is they'll look at the data, they'll look at the information, and they'll be like, hey, customer, you're not using this feature. Let me show you how to use this feature, right? But come on, take it a step further. Like you just said, you're like, hey, my other customer saw huge success. They were able to save time or money, or they were able to see an ROI in our product usage by doing this. And I think it'll really help reach your goal if you were to do this. A lot of times the strategy stops. You were automatically strategic there, Byron, because you took it a step further and you really highlighted how this is going to help their business goal. In order to be strategic, you need to really get to that business goal, and using customer case studies, examples, all of that helps solidify the narrative that you're telling your customer about this. If you're just going to come into a call and be like, hi, you're not using the product, and this is why this is how you use the product, sorry, then they're not going to care. They're going to be like, okay, cool, thanks for the product demo. But if they really have a really strong reason, a why, like the why is you're going to grow your business, or we're going to hit your goals if you do this, they're going to be bought in, and they're going to be like, cool, that's a really good strategy to help me.
I love how you keep using we. It's always we. We. I love it.
It is. By the way, it's a partnership. Your customers, it's not a vendor relationship. It's a partnership. I also say this sometimes to my customer. I'm like, please treat me as an employee in your company. I'm here to be a consultant in your company on how to use Griffin the best.
And Anika, it's so sad that we have to start wrapping up today's episode, but it has been an episode where I'm pretty sure a lot of people will rehear it at least 2 more times, because all of the tips and challenges that we have highlighted here are things that we can definitely go as we have on a day-to-day as customer success managers, especially when you are starting in this amazing world, right? So I really appreciate your time, your insight, your energy. So motivating when we hear you talk about customer success. So thank you for that. And I do have one more question for you. And I know you kind of answered that at the beginning, so you will have to give us another one. But is if you can tell us of a time when you fucked up and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, I've already given you a
I know.
oh man, now I have to give you another one. I
I'm
feel
so
like I'm getting
sorry.
vulnerable here and sharing all my deep dark secrets. Um, Another time I've messed up is where I have definitely been in a challenge with my sales leader and not a partner. I'll give you an example. I think a lot of people see as sales as the enemy. Like they're just trying to sell things and they're giving us bad fit customers.
Of course, they are the enemy.
They're not. They're not. I hope people realize this. And I think I realized this as I progressed in my career and matured in my career. But my sales leaders are my partners in crime, because the only way that I can get ICP customers or ideal customer profiles that fit our product and use is another two-way conversation with my sales team. Because a lot of CS people, CS leaders have a one-way conversation. The sales team basically dictate and say, hey, CS team, I've just sold this customer. Good luck. Go implement them. Go make them successful. And a lot of my career, I just kind of dealt with it. And I would always just blame sales for a bad fit customer. I would be like, oh, sales sold the wrong customer and now they're going to churn, right? But the thing is it's a two-way conversation. I need to bring that back to my sales leader and I need to tell them, by the way, this customer that we sold, they did A, B, and C, and the behavior we saw from them was this, and that resulted in them leaving us. In the future, we probably shouldn't sell to companies this small or companies in this sector, or maybe companies that don't have the dedicated resource to implement, whatever the reasoning was. And when you're able to really build that partnership with your sales leader, a few things happen. One, you have better fit customers, so less churn. Two, you're able to actually strategically learn from a salesperson, by the way. If anyone who's on this call or who's been listening to this call has been thinking, how do I ask more discovery questions? Salespeople are the best people that ask the best discovery questions. And I started to learn how to ask the right questions when working in partnership with my sales leaders. And then three, you know what you can start building is a success plan with the salesperson. Believe it or not, they will start doing the work for you if you really partner with your sales team, because they will start capturing the goals early. They will start capturing the outcomes early, and they will start capturing the actions that need to happen when they start implementing. But for a long time in my career, I made this huge mistake that I thought sales was the enemy. And the thing is, they're not. They really aren't. And the sooner you start learning, and the sooner I started learning and started partnering with my sales counterpart, the quicker I was able to A, get my customers successful, but B, make myself and my job easier as well.
I say well because first, it's not only partnering with the customer, but it's also partnering internally. But it's interesting how you said when you start
100%.
developing or creating those success plans with your salesperson, they will start actually doing the job for you from the start.
From the start, because they will have the right conversation. They'll ask the right questions. They'll capture that information, and then you'll have it instead of having to redo this all 3-6 months later with the customer.
It's amazing. I will definitely start doing that.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, indeed I will. But Anika, again, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your insights. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it has been an amazing conversation with you.
Thank you. I've had such a good time, and I'm super honored and excited to do this with you. So thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you. And everyone out there, remember, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep improving the world of customer success. Until next time.